I know some men who have been to prison. They're either currently incarcerated or they've actually served their time and they're out. And men who are in prison for long periods of time, I would say a minimum of 5 years or more, they are in male facilities, meaning that when you are imprisoned, you are not able to be in a co-ed prison. Co-ed meaning a mixture of male and female. In the prison system, they always separate males from females. And the reason why they do so is because of the differences between the sexes. And there are differences between males and females, or men and women. Even though the world tries to make it seem like men and women are equal, we are actually not equal. We're very different from each other. And when I refer to equal, I'm referring to our physical qualities as well as our mental and emotional aspects. Men and women, or male and females, are very different from each other. We are not equal, meaning we are not the same. However, I do not believe that males are superior to females or vice versa. And the reason why males and females are separated in the correctional facilities is because males and females are not equal. Men, on average, are more physically stronger and dominant than females. And then you also have to consider the biological aspect and the reproductive aspect, because males and females, they are able to procreate. And in the prison system or any type of correctional facility, they want to prevent any type of pregnancies. But the question that is often presented is, does prison cause men to be gay? I'm going to answer that in this video message. I am Giselle Wallace, certified gay life coach and author. Here on my YouTube channel, I provide my lesbian perspective. And if that interests you, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Does prison cause men to be gay? I did a video or two before similar to this topic, and I actually focused on women in the prison system. But I want to address men specifically, but also just males and females collectively, because when it comes to prison, we are aware that if you do any type of criminal activity, if you disobey the law, violate the law, then you will be corrected. You will be punished for your indiscretions. And when you are in prison, that means that you will be serving more than 12 months. Anything under 12 months is considered jail time. And so specifically, I'm referring to prison time, which is 12 months or more, because regarding this specific topic in the title, does prison cause men to be gay? Usually, you won't find out if a man is gay just by looking at him physically. And there will be some people who will disagree because they say, well, I can look at a man and tell that he's gay. And yes, there are cases where you can look at a person and tell that they are gay. However, gay is not based on your physical appearance. whatever you imagine to be a gay man does not necessarily mean that that man is actually gay. The unpopular opinion is there are homosexual men who are masculine presenting. And that means it's unpopular. It's an unpopular opinion, but it's really not an opinion because it is a fact. I believe that the world does not want to accept the fact that there are men who are masculine presenting, who are gay men. And it always shocks or surprises a person when they find out that a masculine presenting man is gay. And they usually come to an irrational conclusion. And the irrational conclusion that they usually make is, oh, well, he turned gay because, he served time in prison. And you probably watched a few of the prison stories on YouTube, or you've heard rumors circulating in the neighborhood about this guy that you knew who was once straight, but he got locked up for about 10 years, and when he got released, well, word in the street is he was doing the bending. Shout out to Janet Jackson with that famous quote, "So you doing the bending?" But just to explain terminology as far as, positioning when it comes to males in their sexual positioning, you have tops and you have bottoms. And a top is considered usually the more masculine presenting male, or the more aggressor of the two partners. And then you have the bottom, who is the more passive partner, and people usually refer to the bottom as being more feminine presenting. That is generally how they view gay males, but it's not really that rigid, because sexuality is very complex. It's on a continuum, and you really can't limit a person based on their sexual position. And what I mean is, just because a man is a homosexual, you are not able to know really what his sexual position is unless he informs you. And there are masculine men who are bottoms, meaning they take on the more passive, receptive role in the sexual relationship. And the world does not really want to imagine or believe that. I think it's very ironic and irrational how people come up with the conclusion that masculine men are not gay, that they're always heterosexual, and they completely eliminate bisexuality in men. So they don't even think that men are bisexual, but there are men who are bisexual. Just to keep the focus on gay men specifically, I don't know how they think that all men who are gay are feminine presenting, or they're all bottoms, because who do you think that the feminine gay men are with? Do you think that they're with other feminine gay men all the time? I mean, sure, they may be with feminine gay men, but they actually often are with masculine gay men or masculine bisexual men. And the masculine man who is gay or bisexual, he may be with another masculine gay man or another masculine bisexual man. He doesn't necessarily have to be with a feminine gay man. And a feminine gay man doesn't necessarily have to be with a masculine gay man. All I mean is, you really can't box them in. You can't box men in according to how you want to place them. And I think that this goes also into the scope of prison. You box men in as if the only way that they can become gay is if they go serve a long time in prison. Well, how does this irrational belief come about? Where does this derive from? Let's think about the environment of prison. Prison, as I mentioned already, it's not a co-ed environment. It's strictly going to be one sex or gender. So in this aspect, we're looking at a male prison. So there's only males in this prison facility, no females at all. Now you might say, oh, well, they may have female guards women, or they may have females who serve in the cafeteria, or maybe female janitors. Well, that may be a possibility. However, if a woman is a employee in the prison system, she's an employee, which means she is absolutely not supposed to be mixing and mingling with the male prisoners. If she does, then that is a crime. If she wants to keep her job, or if she wants to protect herself, it is best if she is not involved with any of the male prisoners. What we are looking at is a facility of men, and these men are only able to have a space where they sleep and use the bathroom. They are actually in their own cell. They're in their jail cells, and they may have a roommate, but the roommate is always going to be another man. Whenever they are allowed to commune with the other inmates in the prison system, they're always being monitored and watched. And so because it's a high count of men that are together all the time, people will kind of naturally wonder, well, these men, they're all heterosexual. There's the assumption that men are all heterosexual, especially when they think about prisoners, because they usually see a man going to prisoner as very macho or masculine, or the tough guy, the bad guy. That's usually the image. A man who's real buff, he's muscular, he's strong. He's basically the tough guy. So that's the image that they have of these men, and they assume that all of these men are heterosexual men. And I've done research about prisoners, and specifically for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and LGBTQ plus community. What I learned is that the prison environment is primarily heterosexual people. Well, the truth is, there are more heterosexual people, more heterosexual men in prison than there are gay men or bisexual men. However, LGBTQ plus people are often discriminated against, and there are higher disparities of LGBTQ plus people that are in the prison system due to many reasons. One reason, for example, is discrimination against same-sex attracted people. They are usually targeted, and so there's a disproportional amount of LGBTQ plus people who are in the prison systems. But there still is more heterosexual people in the prison systems. Let's just say these men in the prison system outnumber gay men. The majority of the men in the prison systems are heterosexual. And people say, okay, you're doing some time. Like this guy, he's doing 10 years. This guy's doing 12 years. This guy's doing 15, 20, 30 years. And you know that these men, they probably had wives or girlfriends, concubines. They probably had multiple children. They pretty much were sexually involved when they were in the free world. And so now when you go to prison, that freedom of being able to date and be around people and get involved sexually and all of the things that come with that, that's actually taken from you, because when you go to prison, you lose your rights. Now, I understand some states, there's certain laws where if a prisoner is married, they are able to have conjugal rights where there's certain times when they can meet with their married partner and they can have sexual relations because they're married. But you have to check your local and state laws to see where that applies. But in general, when you go to prison, you actually lose your rights to having access to another person to have sexual relations with. It's part of the punishment. So if you are now in this prison system and you're being punished for whatever crime you committed, you have to serve the time that you were sentenced. Does spending all that time alone, even though you are not technically alone because you probably have a cellmate, but the cellmate is just like you, another guy. And you are still the same man that you were before you went to prison. Meaning that you are this natural man, you have hormones, you have sexual desires, you get aroused, you get turned on. When this happens, what do? Some people say, well, all they got to do is just play with themselves. The M word, so I don't get censored. You get my drift. Okay, so they do that. They resort to that. Some people say, oh, well, maybe they can look at, adult magazines or look at some type of adult content because that's another way for them to release all of that sexual tension. All right, so let's say that they do have some type of adult magazines. I don't know if prisoners have access to smartphones. From my understanding, it's not allowed, but I honestly don't know what the state and local laws are for inmates and cell phones or smartphones. The point I'm trying to make is I don't know if these prisoners have access to smartphones. And even if they did, how would they have access to the internet? Which means they wouldn't be able to access online adult content, if you get my drift. But yes, they may have photos. Yes, they may have videos saved in their phone and pictures saved in their phone that they can use to be a muse for them. But after so long, doesn't a person want the real thing? Don't they really miss that physical, raw connection of being sexually involved with another human being? I mean, let's be real, it happens. Now, we know that there are some people who can practice celibacy, and prison may be a time where a man decides to practice celibacy if he's a heterosexual man, for example, because he's like, okay, well, I'm in prison, and let's just say he's single, he's not married. So he went into prison, hasn't been married, never been married. He has attraction for women. He's attracted to women only. He's heterosexual. But now he's going to serve a lot of time. Let's say he's serving 10, 15 years in prison. And he is thinking in his head, I cannot have sex. So what am I going to do? And this is a very natural thought to have, especially if you are used to being sexually active and now you don't have that privilege anymore. You don't have that freedom because you're in prison now. So the thought definitely goes through a man's mind. What does he do when the years keep passing by and all he's surrounded by is other men? Does his mind begin to wonder? Does he start thinking, well, it's just another body. I know that it's a male body, but I can act like he's a woman. Do these thoughts start to conjure up in a heterosexual man's mind when he's in prison? In other words, does prison cause a man to be gay? Well, the research that I have done informs me that if you are a gay person, and specifically in this context, if you are a gay man, you were a gay man when you were in the free world. And when you do the crime and you serve your time in prison, you are still a gay man. And likewise, if you are a heterosexual man, or rather, if you were a heterosexual man when you were in the free world, when you did the crime and now you're serving the time in prison, you are still a heterosexual man. Sexual orientation is actually fixed, meaning sexual orientation does not change, but sexual orientation can be fluid. Now, fluid means that you are on a continuum. It means you can be attracted to both sexes, male and female. But being attracted to both sexes is another sexual orientation, which is bisexuality, for example, or there's people who are pansexual. So if a man is in the free world, because he's in the free world, meaning everyday regular life living, because we live in a very homophobic society, men do not want to be labeled as gay. They avoid any type of gay interactions, or they usually will say verbiage such as pause or no homo, no diddy now, that's the latest term. And they will say this because they want to make it blatantly clear to everyone around them that they are a heterosexual person or a heterosexual man. So in the free world, these men, they have access to women. So they go and they sleep with women. Some of them have children with women. Some men marry women, some men don't. But in the free world, it's very interesting. When you are a free man, you could literally be with whoever you want to be with, meaning you can be with both sexes if you wanted to. But a man may actually avoid sleeping with another man, even though he's in the free world, because he knows there are harsh consequences that come with being involved with the same sex. Many people are ostracized. Men are considered tainted once they sleep with the same sex, meaning if a male sleeps with another male, he's now tainted, he's considered gay. But just because a man has sex with another man, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a homosexual. There is a such thing as exploring your sexuality. Men who are brave enough, who have enough courage in themselves, they may go out and experience exploring their sexuality. Even though they know that they're heterosexual, they may be curious just to try being with another man sexually because, well, he just wants to see if he'll like it, or he just wants to see another side of male sexuality. He goes and he sleeps with another man. He won't tell anyone about it. It's just between him and that guy. He learns more about himself. He may come to the conclusion, oh, well, no, that's not for me. I didn't really like it. I know I'm heterosexual. There are men who will explore their sexuality in the free world, but the majority of men, they're so paranoid and they worry too much about what other people think of them. They will avoid, they don't even want to think about the possibility of having any type of sexual encounter with the man. So in the free world, men will primarily just be with women. And in the free world, you actually are free to be with whoever you want to be, but you actually imprison yourself in your mind because you don't want to be labeled. You don't want to be tainted as a gay man. And being a gay man does not mean you're tainted, but we live in a homophobic society. So men will do everything in their power to portray or present themselves as masculine heterosexual men. Freedom is more than just your physical experience. Freedom is a state of mind. You can be in prison in the free world. You're just living your everyday regular life and you're living in prison. You're not free because you're living a life that pleases other people, or you're living a life where you're conforming to this heteronormative standard in order to fit in. So that's very ironic. But when a man who is heterosexual goes to prison, now he loses his freedom in the physical sense, possibly even mentally and emotionally, because freedom is a state of mind. So he's in prison now. He realizes he's got to serve a lot of time, and he knows that he was a pretty sexually active man. He no longer has the privilege of being with women at any time he wants to be with a woman. And he knows that he gets his sexual urges. So maybe, yes, he resorts to playing with himself. Maybe he looks at some magazines of women. But he gets to a point where it's not enough. He needs the real thing. But he logically and literally knows he cannot get the real thing, meaning he can't sleep with a woman. So what does this man do? This man is in prison. He's no longer in the free world. He's in this cell. He has a cellmate. They get along pretty good. Or maybe he knows one of the guys in another part of the prison, and they get to hang out and talk on the court, maybe playing basketball or just walking around, talking, playing games. And they're really cool. The man, he decides, I'm going to be here a long time. And I've never acted out sexually with a man before, but now is a great opportunity for me to do so. I'm locked up, so I might as well do it. It's not like I have to worry about people outside in the free world making fun of me or calling me gay. And I really like this dude. He's cool. He's real cool. We get along real well. We see each other all the time. So why not? Sure, I want to know what it's like, I've never slept with a man before, and he's a cool guy. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with him. He builds up enough courage to just approach this man, his homeboy, and he just says, man, I've never thought about this before, but what do you think about us hooking up? And then his homeboy kind of looks at him crazy, but then he pauses and he thinks,
that sounds kind of good to me.
Well, all right. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. And they hook up. They have man-on-man sexual relations. So does this mean that this heterosexual man is now gay or bisexual? Well, the truth is only that man really knows what his sexual orientation is. And he actually could really be a heterosexual man, but it's based on your environment. It's based on your circumstance that determines what you will do sometimes. Yeah, it's easy to say, I would never do that if you are in the free world. But if you're someone who has to go serve a long time in prison and you meet someone of the same sex and they're really a great person, sure, they made some bad mistakes in life, but you know that you've made bad mistakes yourself. So you got to serve your time. And you say, well, why? Just be here all this time and deprive myself of human touch? I mean, it's a state of mind. Freedom is a state of mind. And if you want to be free in your mind, then you won't worry about what everybody else is thinking, and you will just do what you really want to do. And so, sure, there are heterosexual men who do act out sexually with other men in prison. But this does not necessarily mean that the man is gay. It's based off of your environment. It's also based off of your circumstances and your state of mind. The question of, does prison turn men gay, or does prison cause men to be gay? Absolutely not. You already know what your sexual orientation is. You knew it before you went to prison, and you know it while you're in prison. And if you're able to get out of prison, you still will know what your sexual orientation is. And that man can do whatever he wants to do to a certain extent. And that man ultimately will understand that it's not about who you sleep with. It's really about your character. What kind of person are you? What kind of person are you working on being? Hopefully a man of good character. Ultimately, you want to just respect other human beings and appreciate that we all have our own differences. We all have our own sexual orientations. And human connection is really a beautiful thing. And I think people need to spend more time focusing on who people are and stop worrying about things that are frivolous, things that really are not an issue. Because worrying about a man turning gay because he goes to prison, and then when he gets released back into the free world, you wonder if he's gay. You should be more concerned about who that man is, how he represents himself as a citizen in the world, in the free world. That's what you should be concerned about, not who he's sleeping with, even if it's a man. I am Giselle Wallace, certified gay life coach and author. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share this video, and have a free day.